On December 30th, 1963, I was a 9-year-old boy whose parents went out for the night. My brother and I decided to watch this crazy, scary new science fiction TV show that aired on Monday nights, which my parents probably would not approve of. I'd never seen it before that night, but after watching it, I was hooked. This episode drew me in and scared the hell out of me, and this 9-year-old boy couldn't get enough.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
I had no idea at the time that this was one of the best episodes of the series. The episode I'm talking about is the Zanti Misfits, which features large alien ant-like bugs the size of a rat. Right from the tension-filled teaser where we first see the alien spacecraft, which kind of looks like an orange squeezer to tell the truth, and the gripping soundtrack by composer Dominic Frontier, I was glued to the television set. So, when I decided I was going to rewatch the original Outer Limits series, one of the first episodes I had to watch was the Zanti Misfits. I hadn't seen this episode for years, and I was really looking forward to watching it again. If you talk to anyone that saw the original series and asked them to name their top 5 Outer Limits episodes, the Zanti Misfits would probably be one of them. Even if people don't remember the title, they remember it's the one with the giant bugs. Memories can be a funny thing though, so I wasn't sure how I would like this episode now, after all this time. A lot of TV shows from the past just don't hold up today. So with that in mind, I hit the play button. Right from the start, I was sucked back in again to a time when I was a 9-year-old boy. In the opening scene, we see a group of military personnel listening to a communication from the Zantis.
Our privacy must be maintained. Total destruction to anyone who invades it.
In a foreshadowing of what's to come, the general says, "Don't worry. If anyone goes near that ship when it lands, it'll be over somebody's dead body." The camera then pans up to reveal the incoming UFO, and we break into the Outer Limits theme music. What's really interesting here is that ABC had a mandate to show the Monster of the Week in the teaser opening, but in the Zanti Misfits, only the alien spacecraft was shown, and the shocking alien reveal was saved for later in the episode. We're now introduced to the town of Morgue, California, and a man named Stephen Grave, who was played by Michael Tolan. He's designated as a historian of interplanetary events. We also meet Major Claude Woolman, who isn't very happy about the aliens' arrival, and he probably shouldn't be. Oh, and did I forget to mention that the arriving aliens are criminals on their own planet? That's right. They're being sent to Earth to establish a penal colony, and we Earthlings are not given a choice in the matter. We next meet General Hart, who is played by Robert F. Simon, who's a well-known character actor in westerns, and who made guest appearances in many TV shows in the early days of television. General Hart seems overly optimistic about the arriving aliens and the Army's ability to keep them in their designated area. To make sure everything goes as planned, the Army is monitoring the aliens' approach to make sure they land in a secluded area, away from all human interference, as they demand that their privacy must be maintained. In one of his earliest appearances, Bruce Dern plays bad boy Ben Garth, who's on the run from something, while Olive Deering plays Lisa, his runaway wife accomplice. It's never really explained just what they're running from, but there's a glove box full of cash which seems to imply some type of crime, maybe robbing a bank. They spend most of the time arguing, with Lisa threatening to go back to her husband. This is a fairly obvious setup, as we all know why they are in the show. Of course, they just happen to stop in the same area that the spacecraft has landed. Ben spots the ship and decides to investigate. Meanwhile, the general tries to convince the Zantis that the duo are there by accident and begs them not to retaliate.
The person or persons in your landing area are unauthorized. I assure you that their presence there is an accident.
Ben climbs the rocks to get a closer look at the Zanti spaceship, and as he inspects the ship, a Zanti higher-up called a regent pops out. We now get our first look at the Zantis, and it's a real shocker. Even though the special effects budget was very limited on the Outer Limits, and is very primitive, there's something about the Zanti's ant-like appearance with a distorted human face that's really terrifying.
Get off!
A close-up shows the Zanti with creepy eyes, beard hair on their chin, and human-like teeth which don't appear to be very sharp. They also move in a very creepy fashion due to the stop-motion animation by animator Jim Danforth and Project Unlimited. When Garth sees the alien, he recoils in shock and falls down a ravine while the Zanti Regent chases him. A brilliant use of stop animation shows the Zanti crawling up his arm while we pan away to the army base and hear Ben's chilling screams coming through the loudspeakers as he yells, "Get off of me!" We also hear a droning insect sound coming from the Zanti. At this point, nobody but Ben knows what the Zantis look like. It's never revealed just how the Zantis are able to kill humans. Do they bite and inject some kind of poison? We're never told, but it doesn't really matter to the story. The Zanti is now coming after Lisa when she comes to see what happened to Ben. She runs back to the car, locking herself in as the Zanti climbs up the window. Here we get a really good look at the Zanti and its human-like face. Looking at the Zantis, I can't help but wonder how they managed to build a spaceship and master interplanetary travel, and how they fit so many Zantis into that little spaceship. We really have to suspend our disbelief here and just go with the story. Meanwhile, Stephen Grave convinces the general to send him to the spaceship as a peace emissary to try to prevent an alien invasion. He pulls up to the scene in a jeep and finds Lisa being chased by the Zanti. He picks up a rock and kills the Zanti, which lets out a horrifying squeal. With the Regent dead, the Zantis decide that now is the time to escape their prison. This sets up the most memorable part of the episode, and maybe of the entire series, as the Zantis pilot their ship to the ghost town and land on the roof of the building where the army is stationed. Now begins the most memorable and crazy few minutes of 60s sci-fi television ever seen, and it's a must-see if you're a fan of the genre. Steve and Lisa pull up just in time for the all-out battle with the Zantis as they start to pour out of the ship and climb down the walls. There's no stop motion here, and now in high def you can clearly see the wires they're attached to as they're lowered down the wall. You can also plainly see the soldiers rolling around with fake plastic bugs glued to their bodies. But back in the 60s with a tiny 13-inch black and white tube TV, none of that mattered. And it really doesn't matter here either. The soldiers shoot the Zantis with rifles, claw them off their backs, beat them with clubs, and throw grenades into groups of them. It's an incredible few minutes of all-out invasion madness, with the result? The Zantis are all killed and the battle is finally over. After the fierce battle is over, the shocking twist ending is one that Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone will be proud of. That's the scene where, when wondering how the Zantis would now destroy the human race after killing their inmates, the Zantis pull a surprise. They send a message thanking the humans for killing their prisoners and explain that they are incapable of executing their own kind. They sent them to Earth after watching how humans have no problems with killing. After all, humans are a race of practiced executioners, they say. This was a scene where writer and producer Joseph Stefano makes a chilling social commentary about the nature of the human race that is spot on and very effective. Whatever you think about this 60-year-old show and its primitive special effects, if you've seen the Zanti Misfits, it's an episode you'll remember for a long, long time. Let me know what you think about this episode and the Outer Limits in general in the comments below. And as always, this is Rich from Rerun Zone, signing off.
We now return control of your television set to you.